Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Success Grade podcast. I have a special guest today, Fei Wu. She was born in Beijing, China, finished her education in the US, and Fei speaks Mandarin, Chinese, and English at the same time. And she left her job at marketing and advertising to build a company of her own. She calls it Feisworld Media, with a mission to help small businesses and creative entrepreneurs tell better stories, find more customers, and create new revenues. Fei, welcome to the grid.
Thank you so much for having me, Hussein. And I really look forward to this since our first
Awesome.
chat.
Awesome. So first, I saw that you have built black belt in Taekwondo. Ooh. So, 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 so what I understand in general, like Taekwondo is from Korea, right?
Mhm.
And Kung Fu is from China, and Karate is from Japan. So how did you start with Taekwondo instead of Kung Fu?
Yeah, funny that you ask because I started Taekwondo, start training more seriously when I was 18. And the reason was I graduated from a high school in the US up in Maine. Then I came to Boston and had absolutely no friends. No
Mm,
friends and nobody my age, no relatives. So I just wanted to do something and it became much more serious than I originally anticipated. With that said, when I was growing up, 6, 7 years old, summer camps, I definitely did a bunch of kung fu, but that was very much like extracurricular, like for fun, PT class sort
mm.
of deal.
Wow,
So,
awesome. Oh, great.
yeah.
So, what happened with you? Why did you move to the US?
Yeah, so I always knew I wanted to travel the world, and somehow I'm not sure, Hussein, you ever felt like this. I don't know whether you enjoy traveling as much, but I kind of always knew I wanted to live and study somewhere else, which means I didn't want to wait until I'm 25 or 30 years old, or I try to build a family in a different country. I wasn't really
Mm,
thinking that far. It was more like an experiment, and I think with my
mm,
personality and my parents' work that I had been exposed to a lot of foreign culture,
mm.
not just American culture, but foreign culture since I was a little kid. So I kind of always wanted to immerse myself into different cultures as much as possible. And frankly, I think US is the best place to do that because it's such a cultural hodgepodge where you get to meet people from around the world and remains to be the most exciting thing for me.
Yeah, exactly. It has all people from all over the world.
Right.
Exactly. So you now moved to the US and started working in marketing. How did you start your career after you finished your studies or something like that?
Yeah, so I am also known as basically an international student by the time I graduated.
Mm,
And in the US, especially if you're from a country like China or India, it is really hard to get a green card because every year there's a limited number of green cards being given out. So I basically had to find an employer, first of all, that accepts international students, meaning someone without a green card, someone without a US citizenship. So I was very lucky because I was friends with several other international students and who kind of pointed me to the possibility of working for a consulting firm called Sapient at the
mm.
time. And I interviewed a whole bunch of companies and settled on Sapient again because I wanted to explore my career as opposed to doing one thing for a long time. So I just thought naively, I guess, consulting will enable me to do that.
Cool, awesome. So then how long did you stay in that, and what made you want to transition and be your own boss, let's say?
Yeah, so the transition wasn't as quickly as I wanted to. I mean, I was ready when I was 26, but I didn't really make the transition fully until I was about 31. And so I went from 6 years working for Sapient to, I believe, 1 year at Digital Influence Group before it was merged with another company. And I transitioned into Arnold, another advertising marketing agency, for about 2 years. So
Mm,
altogether, a little bit short, 9.5 years to be exact. And for me, I always knew I wanted to start my own company. And one thing that was holding me behind was actually a green card to do it legally.
mm,
And but before that, I was working on a lot of projects for free. You know how it goes. It's like our origin story, working really hard for no money. And I was very ready. I think I was spiritually, mentally, and financially ready as well. I actually saved up about at least 2 years. I'm kind of very a little bit risk averse in a way, right? Like a lot of American people would say they have 6 months of savings, they can go do something. But for us who are international, we really needed a lot more cushion for just in case stuff, So I saved up about 2 years, probably a little more. And so I was comfortable.
Cool, awesome. But though, I don't know, I'm not really expert that much on the American economy, but I read some articles like a lot of people, I don't know what the exactly percentage is, but some families don't have $1,000 in their name. I don't know. Maybe this is true, and that's bad according to the U.S. economy, which is a huge one. Yeah. So what now? You did that and transitioned into starting Feisworld. What made you start that, and why did you name it Feisworld Media?
Feisworld Media. I know. It's so funny. So my partner, who I met when I was, in my 20s still, I remember when Gmail first came out, if you remember that. I think that was
it was an invitation to get an account. Yeah.
Yeah. And then so the funny thing was Feisworld. Well, there is a kind of a story behind it because naming something, it's really hard. And for me, for people who can see me or see my name written on Zoom, so it's FEI. My name is very universal in terms of its pronunciation, but in spelling, FEI is Chinese, and also it's kind of German. In German, I think it's like people say Feisworld or something. And so I just decided I want to create something that's, like I come from the world. It's worldwide. I didn't want to limit to just me, just Faye, just Asian women empowerment or anything. So I wanted to explore, and I really love that name. And until today, trying to embrace it.
Cool, awesome. The same idea I had when I named Success Grid. I wanted something like to be global, and even I have some of my backgrounds like says Success Grid, and I have the globe, basically the globe image behind it. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So, what is exactly your business model? Because you are a content creator. You do podcasting, you do YouTube, you are on LinkedIn, and we are connected there. So what exactly do you do? What is the thing that you focus on?
Right now, yeah. Since I started my company, to kind of give a little bit of a context, I started Feisworld LLC, but it's basically Feisworld Media in January 2016. And surprisingly, in 5 years, a lot of creative entrepreneurs like myself who go through many transitions. I didn't believe it then, but in retrospect, it's very much the case. So I will answer what I'm doing now, but I want to say that it did take me quite a while to get here. A lot of people actually reacted to 5 years. I mean, really it was like 3-4 years to kind of mold myself into what I'm doing now. But it was not a 6 months journey. I started off working as a digital producer for smaller agencies, which I loved. But ultimately, I wanted to be creating content on a more full-time basis. So today, 5.5 years later, I am basically leveraging 50% of my time creating Feisworld Media content exclusively. It means my podcast, interviews such as this being interviewed when I interview other guests, and my YouTube channel, which is releasing 2 videos every single week. It's a lot of work for people who don't create videos for a living, right?
Yeah, I am creating videos now. The most videos that I am creating is basically this podcast, because I recorded the video and publish it. Not that much videos from my own, because it's actually, like you mentioned, it's drowning you down a lot. It takes a lot of your time. So imagine other things. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And I would love, on that note, Hussein, definitely remind me after our interview as well. I would love to take a look at your YouTube channel and give you like a channel review, something I've been doing lately for other content creators, especially the ones who are, let's say, I wouldn't say struggling, that people are starting out with 100 subscribers, people who have just gotten their first 1,000.
Yeah, exactly. I understand what you mean, because I see a lot of channels, for example, and I interviewed someone called John Livesey. He's like better selling through storytelling. He's like, basically nowadays the selling is not like the pushy kind of sales. It's like you add value and you tell stories, right? So he has like a channel also, and he's a great guy, but he doesn't have a lot of subscribers like me almost. So when you look at that, it's different. But I guess maybe you know that algorithms with time on YouTube, Instagram, a lot has changed. So it's not like the previous days. Even big channels, even huge channels now, even with 1 million subscribers, If the views are ridiculous, it's not. There are like, I don't know. Maybe they're like telling people that content creators like go do ads. This is I don't know. This is
Yeah.
what I am seeing.
Right. No, absolutely. We should actually acknowledge that, especially for people who are thinking about creating content, but more so for people who have been regularly creating content, because it can be very frustrating. And I have some reflections, but I guess I'll finish answering the question that 50% of my time is on that. There's, channel review. There are also digital products. I create a number of digital products in parallel to my YouTube channel. Basically, I call Zoom timers, these short videos I sell for Zoom timers. Recently, a big release for us is called the Youtuberkit.com, and that is basically compiling the philosophy in a very practical way. It's not a course, but the toolkit that people can basically say, oh, I'm in startup, oh, I'm already in monetization, and here's what I need to learn, spreadsheets and toolkits. So you don't, the one thing I'll say about that is I realize there is a gap in the market. There's so many workshops, master classes people attend, coming together, Zoom setting, training your mindset. Then you leave that session, you're thinking, now I actually have to do the work.
Yeah, this is the important thing. Whatever it is that you get in for the knowledge, if you don't implement, it's useless.
You don't do the work, it's pointless. You could have the crappiest video on your channel. It doesn't matter, because all our first videos are going to be pretty bad, frankly. You have to accept that and basically move on. And that improvement, it's not exponential. You actually see little by little. And sometimes you get a little worse, sometimes you get a little better. And the videos that sometimes get picked up, recommended by YouTube, is not necessarily your favorite video. It could be a video you even feel embarrassed about. So digital products, creating content is largely what I'm focusing on. But then the other side of Feisworld is my consulting service, where I basically teach other creative entrepreneurs how to do the same. When I say creative entrepreneurs, I mean they're smaller companies, for instance, in New York City, in San Francisco, some in Boston. So my clients are all over the place. I'm also partnering with a company right now in Australia. So
cool.
I see, right, it's Feisworld, right? It's content reaching a global audience. And also I like to partner with people all around the world, even all around the US if possible.
Yeah, awesome. So you mentioned like you do content creation like YouTube, and you have, for example, your courses and you have your consulting. What's the biggest driver in your business?
The biggest driver in terms of how I
Revenue.
create my revenue. Oh, it's interesting. So it fluctuates, right? I never thought my YouTube channel would be monetized. I never thought it would be even a significant revenue driver, because we all know, like, YouTube ads, what is that, $30 a month? So right now, surprisingly, YouTube right now is approximately a third. Like, everything all in, it's about a third to a half of my revenue. And to me, that's significant.
Cool.
And to mention, I'm not like a multi-7-figure business, right? So that to me is really interesting. And what I also see as in, for me, my focus moving forward now, if you were to ask me 12 months from now, I would love to see a shift of my digital products taking over the percentage of a lot of my consulting revenue gigs. So hopefully YouTube plus all the adjacent content will hopefully be 60-70% of my income, if not more.
Because it's like more automated and not like passive. You're gonna keep working at it every hour of the day.
I love passive income. Yeah, I know you talk about, you focus on different types of revenue streams. A lot of your guests previously are also creative entrepreneurs. Yeah, absolutely. Passive income, affiliate income, recommending products I love, never products I hate or never used before. Those are so powerful.
Exactly. But speaking of that, which is more exciting or challenging? Like, do you like to create courses, for example, or do you find it challenging? Or YouTube videos, or example, or podcasting, do you find it challenging or fun? Which is your best forte, let's say?
It's interesting. That's such a personality trait. Like, every creative entrepreneur needs to know that, right? Even if you're not being prompted, you need to know that. So I am a complete content creation freak. Like, I get so high. I feel like spiritually so high when I create content. In fact, I always knew this since I was a little kid, but even more so as an adult. Like, if I don't write, when I worked in full time, if I don't record anything, I don't even need anybody to hear it. But if I don't produce something, creating something on my own, could be writing, could be, drawing something, doing something on my iPad, creating something for my friend, like a flyer for another project. Without that, I actually feel like physically like sick. I don't feel well.
I do feel your creative side because you have your books and you have your guitar behind you. So that's
I'm not a very good guitar player, but I'm trying to get there.
we all need, it's a process. So
It's a process.
you need time. Exactly. It doesn't happen just overnight. So and in regards to content creation, for example, do you go to a place where like you are stuck, you don't have something to offer, or do you have like ideas all the time? Where do
Oh,
the ideas come from?
yeah, I do have ideas all the time, but to put into
You are very lucky.
it's crazy. I do have ideas all the time. Literally, I'll give you an example. After one of my colleagues introduced me to King Sumo, I recommend it for you, Hussein, as well. You can use it for anything, for any giveaway. So, specifically, like I'm currently running a giveaway for my Youtuberkit. So regular license is $200, so $199. And then every week, I'm trying to give away a license for people who enter into the giveaway. And to enter, you can follow me on YouTube, watch a video, daily check-in. People are usually familiar with this process. So one of the products I've been thinking about is why make busy creative entrepreneurs trying to understand this, like how to use this, sign up, and have to figure it out. It could take days, right? And so instead, I want to basically create another toolkit that's ready to use. Like I know all this, there's so many scenarios out there. You download this for a very affordable amount of money, and you have everything ready to go. So it becomes a kind of a placeholder, a template. But another thing I want to say, maybe it's a little more helpful to your listeners too, is that many times we have a lot of ideas and we may or may not notice them, but I want to say that your culture, who you are as a person, no matter your background, your skin color, your native language, these days in 2021, even before this, you really want to embrace them. And sometimes I know it can be hard, especially people, especially in the US, oh, I'm from somewhere else. I have this accent. My friends will notice that. They know what to look for and they know things I don't know. But at the same time, that's what makes me unique. So when I go to my ideas, I'm no longer like the way when I was younger to say, I'll just go crazy with every single idea. No.
Yeah.
These days, right, you have to be somewhat strategic. Don't beat yourself up. But like, for instance, WeChat is a Chinese messaging app.
Yeah.
Right. And then very few American people or even Canadians will know that if they're not Chinese, if they don't do any business with China.
Yeah.
So right now,
This is why I worried
right?
sometimes. I saw a video like, I don't know, Ashton Kutcher, I think.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he said
What did
something
he do?
about TikTok. I don't know. He said something about TikTok. I don't know.
TikTok, right.
TikTok, yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, he said something about it, that it's Chinese, so they are like invading the US. So yeah, I don't know.
Right. Is that invading the
I
US?
don't know, but I think we are.
Yeah.
I think we are in a place now. It's like the world is so much open with the internet, reaches places of limitless, I guess.
It's completely limitless. Yeah. And so, I wanted, because I'm Chinese, I've used WeChat very fluently, and my mom is on her WeChat all day. She lives with me, and, that's her only way into reaching out to her friends and family. And so I wanted to create a how-to. So that's how I process, how I create a product. It's not completely random, which I used to do that. And nowadays I think about, what is the business use? What is the home use? Who am I targeting? Who really, really need this right now? And how can I most easily, in a non-intimidating way, to deliver that information to this person? Which I think perhaps is where I thrive on YouTube, because the way I am, I don't look intimidating, and I don't produce content where people say, oh, she talks a little fast, but I'm using very plain English. I want my content to be consumed and understood by anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually love your videos. Speaking of speed, your speed is like, for me at least, I don't know about, it's like accurate, 100% great on timing. Your videos presentation is awesome. So
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
I would love if I could binge, but I can't. But I would love to binge someday on your videos from the start.
Yeah. I think it's so funny. I feel like I talk pretty fast, but the funny thing is the way that people edit their videos on YouTube these days, everybody's about 2 to 3 times the speed as me.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like, for example, everybody listens to GLD, to
yeah,
Prison
GLD,
Fair,
yeah.
and I am listening to him recently, and he's like very fast in his
Yeah.
talk. It's like speedy, too much. I don't know. This is what I
You're like
see.
anxious, right? You almost feel like,
So because he has like tons of interviews, I guess maybe he's
yeah.
like, I don't know, he wants to go through them, or I don't know.
Yeah, go through them. Exactly. People get into the
Yeah.
habit. Like you talk,
Mm.
like
Yeah,
the way
exactly.
we create is like we're trying to create for the algorithm. So
Mm.
there's a difference between creating for the algorithm, no matter what it is, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, versus creating for yourself or creating for your audience, right? It's
Mm.
like really interesting dichotomy going on, and it's hard to
Yeah.
make decisions
Yeah,
on a daily
exactly.
basis.
At the end of the day, the important thing is that you be yourself. I guess. Yeah, this is it. So you apparently passionate about content creation. So what are your plans, for example, to grow your business even further?
Yeah, I think we touched upon that. To me, with my personality, for most creative entrepreneurs, passive income is what we're aiming for. And when I say passive income, it's not just one source of income, it's multiple revenue streams. And for me, digital products that can generate income on their own and really benefit people, and also to fill markets gaps. I don't want to,
Yeah.
Joe Schmo created something that seems to get paid a lot. Oh, I'm going to create a Feisworld version of it. That's not me. And so that's what I'm aiming for, more passive revenue streams. And, more money I make, frankly, the way I think about it, by the way, is I think about all the other projects I might want to work on. I'm working on, for instance, right now, a project for childhood cancer, focus on sharing
Okay.
their stories as opposed to finding cures. And
Cool.
another project is about, disability, equity, inclusion, but focus on disability. And, I still want to work on these projects, and it doesn't matter how much I get paid from these projects. So if I have a passive revenue engine figured out, that will give me more time, energy, and even money, financial resources to support these things even more.
But for example, speaking of your YouTube channel, you talk kind of a lot about Zoom,
Yeah, I don't know what the
especially
video
I
is.
guess recently. So why Zoom? Why did you think Zoom is taken off where we actually had Skype? And there is
Mhm.
like a website called freeconferencecall.com, which is completely free. Even if you guest like 1,000 people, why do you think Zoom is the place to go for conferencing
Yeah,
online?
I mean, I didn't choose Zoom. YouTube chose Zoom for me. A lot of the videos that I'm known for are Zoom, but since then, I have actually pivoted to what's called adjacent topics, such as a live stream, restream,
Yeah.
StreamYard. So I've actually already taken off and kind of like pivoted from my original Zoom content.
Mm.
It was not an easy choice because YouTube only favored Zoom for a long time. What
Mm.
happened was last year in March, I created my first Zoom video to help my Zumba instructors to bring their classes online. And that one video overnight went from 700, 2,000, 3,000, was literally gaining 1,000 views every single day for 2 to 3 weeks straight.
Awesome.
And yeah, within 4 weeks, I became monetized. And so that was, here's what happened. From there, you get a lot of signals, you get a lot of comments. So from that single video that you need to take off on YouTube, you get about 100 questions, and you can batch these questions and record 5 to 10 more videos. And that's what I did. And every single one of those videos took off. I had, the next video is 5,000 views, 10,000 views, 2,000 views, 500, and then it's 3,000. So I caught a pattern on
Mm.
YouTube.
Yeah.
But right. And then I left the pattern.
Yeah, awesome. But it's good that, especially people who are actually engaged and leave comments, and you see
Mhm.
what they're commenting, it could be a good driver or an idea for another YouTube video.
Or
Yeah.
another course. All right. Another
Maybe.
course or two
Yeah.
courses. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's beautiful.
yeah. Actually, I am working on creating my own course now, but it still needs time. it's
Oh,
it
what is
is
it about?
it's it's gonna to be named Digital Business Blueprint, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Mm-hmm.
about the digital business, but I'm thinking about the name. I'm
Yeah.
working with the course, but the name is still in progress itself.
Right. No, it
Imagine that,
sounds.
the name, yeah.
Yeah, that's wonderful. A lot of people need that. All
Hmm.
right, like they want to
Yeah.
know what to do to get started.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. Which is strange, actually, you know.
Mm.
But yeah, this
Why
is
is it strange?
all.
Yeah.
I don't know because because this kind of information, when you look at it from one side, the free information is basically flooded on YouTube, let's say, and
Endless.
they are, yeah. But sometimes people need structured approach to things. This is
Yeah.
why courses exist.
Yeah, everything
Yeah.
pretty much already exists. And when I say everything, everything we're thinking about doing,
Mm.
pretty much exists. It's impossible to be original, but just remember that hasn't been done by you.
Exactly, yeah. Awesome. So I actually watched a video of you talking about a website called Sonix, I think its name.
Sonics.ai, yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I use a similar one, but called grain.co, if you know grain.co. So yeah,
Oh, yeah.
this is awesome. But
Oh,
tell us a little bit about Sonix also.
yeah. Tried so many different apps relevant to podcasting and video content creation. Yeah, love creating those videos.
Awesome. So what does it do exactly, Sonix?
So Sonics.ai is basically originally a transcription service I discovered back in 2017. And
Oh.
since then, I would say what made them stand out was once you import an audio track or multiple audio tracks, it will be able to identify not only the language, but also it will help you identify the accent. So you
Mm,
can say, oh, Hussein has a British accent and Faye has an American accent. So you can actually specify that. And once it completes a transcription service, it gives you a confidence score. So it will say, we are about 92% confident about what we generated, and the parts that they're not confident about, they highlight to use a different color. So it
mm,
helped me or my virtual assistant to go into those sections and make revisions as needed. And frankly, even within those yellow sections, they were still pretty accurate.
mm,
So right now, so what Hussein just watched was the idea is that you can create these audio clips that you can highlight these clips, use a little scissor icon, and you can create videos that are 15, 30 seconds, 45 seconds, which
awesome.
are, yeah, great way
Great.
to repurpose.
To post especially on like Instagram, I guess, or Pinterest, or
Yeah,
these
TikTok
kind
or
of, yeah,
TikTok.
TikTok, yeah.
Right. Love
Exactly,
that.
yeah. So speaking of the books that are behind you, which is your favorite book, or what most books that you read?
I bought and read a lot of books by Seth Godin. I know I'm not
Oh,
the only
okay.
one. Yeah, Seth is kind of the marketing guru, and he has been for the past over 20 years. And I just like his books. And out of all the ones he's written, there's the latest one I haven't read. But the one before that is called This Is Marketing. For
Mm,
me, one of my favorite is actually Linchpin.
mm,
And it's really interesting. Linchpin is about how you be a linchpin at your company or be a linchpin for your business. That means
mm,
you're indisposable, what
exactly.
you bring to the table.
Mm,
But I love all my books back there. I should take a picture and send. Also, another book that comes to mind for maybe your listeners might be interested in exploring is Pat Flynn. So Pat Flynn,
yeah.
Smart Passive Income. This book is called Super Fans. So Super Fans. I actually went to the book launch in Orlando, not just for the book launch. I was there for
Mm.
Podcast Movement,
Oh,
and
cool.
yeah, he was there. He's like, "Oh, new book release." He had this like separate conference room, like 5 p.m. after the whole event ended, and it was lovely to meet him in person, and so yeah,
Cool.
so some
Awesome.
great marketing books.
Awesome. Do you have, speaking of books, do you have a code that you prefer more than others?
Did you say a code or
Yeah, a quote. A quote. A quote
um
from a book or a
a
motivational
quote?
quote.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see. Oh, yeah, yeah. I really love I love several, but the one I love is embrace emotional labor, dance with fear, because I that's
Wow.
by Seth Godin, by the way.
Cool. Okay.
Embrace emotional labor is possibly the hardest work that you can expect, right? And especially when you're doing creative work, when you're creating something new and you put
Mm.
it out in this world. Hussein, imagine you create this digital blueprint and you put it out there, and several haters in your space be like, that wasn't so good, I've gotten better ones before. And what do you mean? It is hard. That's emotional work, and nobody want to be traumatized as a result of that. But Dance with Fears, I think every day, every day we live with certain amount of fear. I think
Yeah,
being
yeah,
human,
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah, exactly. But whatever we do, sometimes, for example, the first video I posted, I did a video by myself like 3 years ago,
Yeah.
and it was the first video I did, and I didn't post anything by myself since. So, so yeah, I went through right into it, and I didn't know, let's say, what I was doing, but I did it
Mhm.
anyway, and eventually, and this is what drives me now. But I had, of
Mhm.
course, I fears and stuff like that at the time.
Mhm.
But especially now, I say, who doesn't like it? Who doesn't like it?
Yeah, who
Who likes?
cares?
Ah,
Who
okay, yeah,
cares?
yeah, yeah, exactly. Who's in alignment with the messaging or stuff like that? So yeah, be it. Who doesn't like whatever it is? Who doesn't like whatever? This is how it is. Some people will like you, some people will not. So it's like salespeople. If you don't get the sale, go to the next
Yeah.
one. It's okay. Maybe they don't need what you offer.
Yeah, and that's such a good point. You reminded me, is saying I think the way that we've been educated and trained all these years since we were kids, that you go to school, you wait, you work hard for the whole year, and you have this finals exam. If you don't perform well, it's like
You flunk. Yeah.
60%. Yeah, yeah, you sink, and then we somehow, even I still remember those days, fears. And my mom was saying, like, I remember when I was a kid, she's like, I would basically in my what do you call that? You talk when you dream. It is so much of that was fear, like getting worried about ranking in school, this and that. Same thing when we go to our jobs, working full time. There's a typo in an email where you didn't express your boss's idea very clearly. You don't want to lie. You don't want to overbill, overcharge. All of these
Yeah.
things, right? You feel like that's all part of the fear. But to know that it's actually normal and you dance with it, like what if you can treat fear as a friend?
Dance in the rain. Dancing in the
Yeah,
rain. This is what you should do. Dancing in the rain.
dancing in the rain. Yeah, this sounds like a movie title, right?
Actually, it's a song by a band called Megadeth, which is the kind of music that I listen to.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, so it's a heavy metal band. Anyway, so who inspires you and what inspires you? Because apparently Seth Godin is something that you look up to.
Oh, yeah. Seth Godin, I had the pleasure of interviewing him in person. He's in my documentary. He truly inspires me, but it's more than him. I realized because the fact that we started a podcast, every single guest, no matter their age, their skin color, they inspire me every single day. And then it's so cool because life is this kaleidoscope, and life has so much to offer. When I fear for something, okay, Seth Godin said, dance with fear. And when I think about, these days, knowing there's so many illness out there, so many new, like all these things that are not just COVID, the pandemic, but there's so many things we feel like, oh, nothing's under our control. My mom last year had to go through surgery. We thought it was something really serious. I was like crying every day, but turned out it was benign. Turns out it wasn't cancer, right? And so that's in those moments I look up to my friend and colleague like Dr. BJ Miller, people who are in palliative care, helps me to understand the spiritual side of the world. And yeah, these people, and Krista Tippett from On Being, people behind me is my friend Jorge, and my producer Herman, who is
Sure.
so inspiring to me every day. I feel so indebted to him. And that's, I'm
Awesome.
indebted to you for this conversation. That's how I think. Yeah.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Tell us, you mentioned your documentary. You have a documentary. What's that and what is it about?
Yeah, so the documentary can be watched on Amazon Prime, and actually there are a dozen other channels like worldwide. So it's called Feisworld. It's a documentary series, and featuring I think 11 or 12 people, including the people I named, including Seth Godin, but also Sarah
Hmm.
Cooper, who became a TikTok sensation in 2020, and Chris Voss from Never Split the Difference. So these are all my mentors, but because of the documentary, I wanted to interview 100 people. It was not possible to travel to every corner of the world, so I picked 12 people to interview. And so the idea is that each episode will cover almost like not a milestone, but it's a milestone, but it's kind of part of my journey. And I think it's almost like an ecosystem. So basically, moving abroad, mindset, living your art, living your work, pay forward. How do we pass on what we learned? Social service, childhood cancer, palliative care. To me, these are part of social service. So basically, each episode, I pick 2 to 3 guests to talk about it holistically. And
Cool.
yeah, the underlying theme is that I'm an immigrant. I'm an Asian immigrant living in America, and I haven't seen a lot of this type of content on Netflix, on Amazon Prime. I said, why not me? So whatever you're thinking you're doing today, think about like, why not you? Like, why
Yeah,
not?
exactly. What
You know,
what do you have to lose? You have to try it at least.
yeah. Why not you on
Exactly.
YouTube? Why not you
Yeah.
on TikTok? Why not you be the next TikToker or someone who makes a difference, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So what would you say I want to take away from this episode, Faye?
The one thing for people to take away
Yeah.
from this episode, I actually really like what I said last, which is why not you? Um, you know, I think that that's a huge takeaway. And yeah, dance with fear, embrace emotional labor, knowing that this creative journey can be unpredictable, but just like everything else. And I will something else I want to learn for, especially for women out there. I think your audience is quite kind of balanced in that sense. But for women out there, or if you're a man, you have daughters, you have your partner, wife, mom, sisters, doesn't matter. I have a message which I learned from someone else, is that I think for women, your path is kind of painted for you. You have the checklist, graduating from a good school, somehow find a good job, finding the right partner, have in the US 2.5 children, have a dog, buy a house that's 3,000 square feet, all these things. And when you don't check one of those things off, then you might feel like you have failed or you feel miserable. I feel like, what I have learned right now at the age of 38 is that I didn't know who I was going to be when I was 28 or when I was 18. So you haven't met your future self. And this is so powerful. And just because you didn't check off one of the things on the list doesn't mean that you're not going to have a fulfilling life.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Awesome.
yeah.
Awesome. That's really great. So Faye, where can people get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So I'm easy to find. Feisworld, F as in Frank, EI, S as in Sam, WORLD, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, on LinkedIn. I'm Faye Wu, and I'm based in Boston. In case you can find me, but I would love to hear from people, their questions, and if you want me to take a look at your YouTube channel for the next week or so, whenever this is released, I would like to offer some channel video reviews free of charge. Just for
Awesome.
you.
Thank you. Well, thank you for being today with me on the Success Secret podcast.
Thank you so much.